What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. So, obviously, a big headline from Saturday night's main event was Goldberg, and we talked a lot about that here on the channel. Um, Goldberg's retirement match, and now a lot of that's getting some headlines because apparently Goldberg thinks he was wronged. And in some respect, I think he was, but I don't think him going on Ariel Helwani and airing his dirty laundry and burning every bridge is really the right way to go. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about really the big piece of big picture, long term news with WWE, and that is the health of Seth Rollins. Because I have no fucking idea where this situation is right now. Since Saturday, I've gotten about 14 different stories of what really is going on with the visionary, the architect, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth freaking Rollins. He was not there for Monday Night Raw. It was predominantly the show was pretty much mostly women, and then there was the near 1 hour gauntlet match there where Braun Breaker, one of his disciples, I guess, nearly lasted to the end, and his mortal enemy CM Punk wins the opportunity to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam, setting the stage for a lot of speculation. And then obviously Paul Heyman had a promo. There was stuff from Brian Alvarez. There was stuff from Dave Meltzer. There was stuff from Mike Johnson at PW Insider, Sean Ross Sapp. There is about 17 different stories, and I don't know who to believe at this point. Obviously, I'm going to probably lean more towards the more credible people. And, Sean Ross Sapp obviously has some drawbacks. Mike Johnson is probably one of the more reliable people in the industry. And there's been other people that have been pretty reliable. And, Meltzer and Alvarez occasionally can be full of shit. Brian is connected to people in the industry, but I don't know what truth there is to him. John Pollock also, I think at Post Wrestling, he said he was tipped off about an injury angle a couple days before Saturday night's main event. So there's a lot out there. The question is Seth Rollins really hurt? As of right now, I am led to believe that he is. Okay. But I think we really won't truly know what is going on until SummerSlam. That's really the next point of this whole thing, where we're going to truly know what is going on with Seth Rollins, because I don't expect to see him before that. He's written off of television. A couple interesting things. They referenced it in a certain cryptic way on Raw, where Paul Heyman was talking about it. Then he reminded everybody, hey, just so you know, Seth Rollins, he's got until next June to cash in the briefcase. And it doesn't seem like there's any inkling that they're ready to move off of that, because why would they? Like, whether he's significantly hurt or not, he's still got a year to come back and use that briefcase. So this really is kind of an unprecedented situation. So a lot of people can think what they want, but, at least for right now, I'm led to believe that this is a real injury. But the fact that a lot of people, the information has been, it hasn't been one-sided one way or the other. It's very down the middle. Like, you've got some people saying it's a work. You got some people saying it's not a work. John Pollock said something very interesting from a source that he trusts. He said he was tipped off to an injury, and he pointed out Seth has already got the best cash in company history in 2015. I talked about this when I was referencing Naomi's cash in. The heist of the century at WrestleMania 31 is the best cash in ever, and I don't think it'll ever be topped. So the fact that Seth Rollins has that briefcase again, he's going to have to do something really outside of the box to get there. So there's a lot of things that they could be potentially doing here. Everybody is seemingly being led to believe that it is at least, the people that more on the side of Mike Johnson. Cause like I said, you guys know my stance on Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter and the Wrestling Observer radio. They do not have as much credibility when it comes to these type of situations. They can easily get worked by, the people within the system. But then I'm starting to see other people from around start to reference that, hey, maybe this couldn't be, and pointing out some things that, hey, Seth can't just do a conventional cash in. So, I mean, he could really be hurt. And I think that's the only way that we're really truly going to know what is going on here is what happens in SummerSlam. There's 2 championship matches on 2 nights where Seth could easily cash in on either champion, whoever comes out of it. Like, if CM Punk wins the world title or is going for the world title, maybe the night 1 main event. I don't know where it'll be situation. The women have an argument, But if he doesn't cash in there, that's a red flag. If he doesn't cash in on Cody Cena and the winner of that match, that's your red flag. He's really hurt. Okay. But the fact that they have left this open-ended leaves this to be a fair question. And I understand why Mike Johnson's saying, hey, it's disrespectful to imply that this isn't an angle. It's just really interesting the way that this whole situation's laid out. Seth, like you could see, like based off the way that he rolled his knee, that it looked pretty serious. And then he obviously planted doing the lion salt and landed on his feet. And then they immediately went home for the finish. So listen, what I will say is this. If a lot of people will be pissed off if this is in fact a work. A lot of people will be pissed off if this is a work. But I will say this. If this is a work, what one hell of a work it is. I also have some information. I have a friend who knows people backstage within WWE. I won't specify who she knows, and I won't disclose, and I won't disclose who she talked to because I'm not going to dox those people. I'm not going to make that a thing. They said the people backstage are under the impression that Seth's really hurt. So take that with what you want. But if this is a work, that means WWE has worked their locker room. They have worked a bunch of talent because here's the other thing. Like I said, I know I'm playing this kind of down the middle, but I'm kind of, just throwing out a bunch of scenarios in my mind. Who knew about this if this is a work? Because you got people in the media saying it is a work, and LA Knight was in that match. Did he know? Did the referee, I think the referee was Jessica Carr at that point. Did she know what was going on? Triple H, like, do you know who is in on this angle? CM Punk, if he's the one cashed in on, Cody, if he's the one who's getting cashed in on. This is a fascinating situation to monitor because in all my years of watching pro wrestling and, determining what's a work, what's real, what's fake, what's not, I've never seen a situation quite like this play out in real time where you have no idea which way this could go. And again, to me, as of now, I'm led to believe that he's hurt. But I'm leaving open the possibility that this is a work because there are still two avenues for something to happen at SummerSlam where he does something where this was all like, some sort of an elaborate ruse, which, again, like I said, some fans will be really misled and felt lied to, but that's just the nature of this business. And, hey, things happen and, they'll play it off as part of the show. That being said, if he really is hurt, this does present an opportunity in real life that, like, hey, he could come back still with that briefcase, which has never happened before from an injury, and still possess the opportunity for a guaranteed world title shot when nobody's expecting it from him. But the fact that this has been so talked about in the last 3 or 4 days, and there's so much conflicting information from newsmakers and, content creators within this space, it's unlike anything that I've ever seen in professional wrestling because like it involves a stipulation that's been going on for 20 years where you have the guy who has the briefcase. It has the greatest known cash-in known to man in the history of this company. So him doing another one is going to have to be special. You have an injury with a guy who's had a known injury history. Like there's crumbs here to believe why this is a work. That being said, I'm leaning to this because the people who are reporting that it's an actual injury are the ones who have more credibility within this community. That's what I'm saying. Now, you guys can specify all you want in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button here, like and share. You can get at me on Twitter. Tell me what you think. But this is, like I said, this is heading towards a really fascinating, conclusion. No matter what this is. Like I said, if we get past SummerSlam, then like I said, it's an injury. Because to me, I think if you're gonna make this a work, then he's got to show up at SummerSlam. If it's past that point, then it's clearly a real injury. So, the Meltzer and Alvarez side of it is a little bit more bizarre because they were saying he worked with a real injury, worked basically a 10-minute match, and then went home to the finish and re-injured something or, did the angle, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So, we'll find out more as we move forward. Like I said, we're inside 3 weeks before SummerSlam. It's already shaping up to be a really good card, but this is going to be a fascinating situation to watch moving forward. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.